have decided to discuss the subject of pyramid technique in technical writing, technical documentation. You are all last year students and you are making your project report over here. You are making in-house project in the department. And at the end, as a part of your curriculum, you are going to make your project report. Let us see a very useful technique which is used in writing short and long formal reports. Okay, the pyramid technique itself is a very powerful tool of how to write a short or a long report, official report. Okay, you people are supposed to make an official report. As you know, a pyramid is a structure used for storing things, and it tapers at the end, broad at the base. So think of a pyramid now. If you have a short report, what are the two things which you will have? It will have only two parts, a summary. Suppose you have done some job work for someone and you are sending a report because you are expecting a bill. Suppose I am an electrical contractor. I am doing the fitting of all the electrical outfits and all the electrical devices and appliances in this institute. And then if I am sending a report to the head of the institute, how I will write? I will just say the summary is a short report. Summary and then essential details. In summary, a person tries to give complete information. Okay, so by the time the receiver reads those things, he understands what is the content of that report. So if I am an electrical contractor, I would say during April to June, 145 people employed by me worked in your institute 8 hours a day and completed the fitting of ceiling fans, tube lights. They did the wiring and they fitted air conditioners and heaters wherever needed. This gives the complete information on what work was done, when it was done, and by how many people. The number of people is important because the payment is to be made on hourly basis. So the essential details will then consider all the things, who worked on which day, during which to which schedule, what was considered, what fitting was considered, or what was the different phases of making the whole work complete. So initially, suppose if I am an electrical contractor, my men will go and do the planning of what is to be fitted where. Then they will place an order with me of what is needed to be fitted. I will supply them with the inventories, that means the things which is to be fitted. And then they will start their work. Their work starts with drilling. Okay? Wherever whatever is to be fitted has to be either hanged or it is to be clamped. So their work starts with drilling, and then respective fittings of things. Okay, and as they keep doing their work, they keep maintaining their logbook. This work, and some supervisor is there, and then testing of the things is done. In the testing procedure, the usual working of the thing is done. Short circuits are checked, open circuits are checked. Then possible remaining things which may cause accidents, that is being checked, and then it is given a certificate of OK by the supervisor, and then a person like me will finally write the report. So in essential details, what all the things should I put? What was done? When? Now, this actually refers to the schedule of the work that was done and who did. And then finally, conclusion. In conclusion, whatever the testing work was done, these are the things which complete my report. These are some of the informations which I must give in order to let the receiver have complete information. What will the receiver do? This is sufficient and necessary for him to send it for billing. Alright? Now, this is all about short informal report, short formal report. But when you write a long formal report like your project report, it's a formal report, right? There are marks for it, there is evaluation for it. It's a formal report, you have to file it, it will be stored, one copy with you, one copy with the institute, so it is archived. Anything which is archived, anything which is kept for record is formal. So you're writing a formal report and it spreads over many pages, it's a long report. You have to prepare seriously for it, consider the pyramid technique. Now here, you not only have summary, but you have summary, then essential detail, and then you have full development. Now, can we consider some one or two examples? My dear students, you can please come forward with your project title and with the name of the project title and some brief introduction about the project title. We can have the explanation on how to use and what is this pyramid technique if you have to write and submit your report. Can one group come here? Yeah. What is your project title?
My project title is Digital Colorimeter.
Okay. What does that do? What does that instrument do?
Actually, it is a medical equipment which is used for the blood test or urine test, which is used in hospitals.
Okay. Okay. So, how are you going to make the instrument? How are you building the instrument?
So actually, we are going to make this instrument.
Okay, it is the planning stage.
Yeah.
Okay, you be seated and ask whatever you feel like.
If we use pyramid technique, then what are the steps for writing the project?
First step in pyramid technique is write down the things which you are going to include. In summary, you are making a decision that you are writing a project report and you are preparing the preface of your project report. So the preface itself, the first part of the preface and the first paragraph of your introduction, that becomes the summary of your project report. The very first paragraph of your preface and the very first paragraph of your introduction itself gives a complete idea about what you are going to do. So that completes your summary part. Okay. So you are in that you are going to say what are you making, what will it do, how it will do, okay, what are the shortcomings, possible shortcomings, or how it is superior to other existing things, and then finally, how are you going to launch it as a product? Will it be commercially viable or not? The next thing is?
In case of summary, what should we consider for the project?
You have already asked that.
Then,
Summary itself is made up of the steps which I just answered.
in case of essential details, what shall we put in?
Essential details. In the project report, what is the thing which you will not be able to do without? Your circuit diagram, working of the circuit, and any software that you develop, and the design procedure, because that is essential as contents of your report. If you miss any of this, your report is incomplete, because later on if somebody wants to utilize that information and develop something further, he or she will not be able to do so. So that becomes the essential details. So in essential details, here, essential details, you have your circuit diagram, then you have the working of circuit, then you have design, procedure, then you have testing, how you have tested your circuit, then problems occurred, and finally costing. These are some of the essential things which later on somebody may find useful. So any of these things you miss out, your report is incomplete. And then what comes is full development. Your question please?
How do we form the list of things for the full development?
Yes, full development itself is a list. It contains everything that you are going to put in your report. So it starts with your summary. It starts with your summary, and then it then briefly gives introduction about your report. May I erase this? May I erase this? Full development. First and foremost, you have summary, which is nothing but the introductory part of your report. Then you have the block diagram, and even before that, you will introduce the need for your project. Then you have your block diagram, working principle, then you have selection of basic devices. Remember, in any project, mostly if it is an instrument, you have sensors and transducers used. So they are essential components of your project. You have to be very careful in selecting those devices, and you have to cater into the market and find something that suits your requirement. You have to also do the study of basic working and the range of operations of available devices out of which some of the devices you will select. So selection of basic devices. So you have sensors or you have transducers. Then you give the design procedure. Then you give the software, if required, that you develop. Most of the projects nowadays consider processors, they consider microcontrollers. So you definitely write the routines. Those routines you have to give. And even before giving the routines, you have to give an algorithm. The algorithm is also a part of algorithm for working of project. Now if the algorithm, what is an algorithm? It is nothing but a step-by-step working. The moment you switch on your project, what happens inside your equipment? Okay, सबसे पहले तो you will have power on self-test, and then the ROM of the processor takes over. The project program is automatically executed. Whatever performance is to be made is made. Then you have your flow chart. What is the flow chart useful for? The flow chart is useful for writing your assembly language program, and later on also when you are doing your testing, if the equipment doesn't work properly, you can do debugging. I hope you know what is debugging. Checking your software routines and find out that particular step which was incorrectly written, which gives you wrong results. So flow chart. Then after flow chart you have software routine. What are we considering now? We are considering the full development. So full development should not miss out anything of the project. Software routines, and then you have your circuit connection details. Then you also have your printed circuit board layout. The actual building, of circuit. This includes how you made the circuit in various stages and how you accumulated everything together. After that, you have your testing. Include the steps for testing. In testing, what are you likely to come across? Success as well as failure, right? So if it is successful, you write down your steps, some of the voltages that you measured, some of the things that you observed, okay, some of the currents that you measured, okay, and some of the accidents also that occurred. Sometimes some spark takes place or some short burst takes place, okay, some burning of some device takes place. Okay, so in the testing procedure, all these things will come up, and you will one by one go on ruling out all those difficulties and overcome those and make your project completed a working unit. I hope you know it is called a prototype. The working unit is called a prototype. Once if a unit works, what is the thing that you do? You try to prepare the outside casing. Enclosure making. In enclosure making, the first thing that you do is selection of material, either wood, plastic or metal. Okay. And in the enclosure making, whatever material you take, finally you are going to paint it from outside. And there will be two panels, one in the front, one in the rear side. So those panels you will be able to design, and inside the enclosure you will do the arrangement for mounting of your things, the project itself, and the connections to be made with those things which will appear in the front panel. And in enclosure design, you will also give dimensions of the things. So some part of mechanical engineering you are supposed to learn. Then what comes next is the parts listing. So in parts listing, you will do the listing of passive devices. Then you do the listing of active devices. And then you do the listing of miscellaneous devices. In active devices, you can consider discrete semiconductor components, and also you can consider integrated circuits. And in miscellaneous, you can consider different types of switches, different types of connectors, fuses, even specifications of those things you have to give. So that comes under part listing. Promise me you are going to use the pyramid technique? Yes. So no, I think we find this interesting and useful. Yes. So, miscellaneous devices. Once if you do this, the number of components that you use itself tells you the total cost of how much money you spent in making the devices. This also considers, it also takes into account those devices which were burned or destroyed while making the project. So, in costing, you will give the cost of those devices which worked as well as those devices which got destroyed. You will also give the costing of making all the things enclosure, and after making the enclosure, the next step, the last step in making the project was grounding, shielding and testing, final testing. So after costing, you can also do commercial viability check. In commercial viability check, normally what do we do? Viability stands for what? Viability stands for what? Whether a thing made will survive in the market if launched. Will it sell properly? That means viability of the product. So, for doing commercial viability, you will go around in the market and find out the costs of similar existing things and note down, and also find out the specifications and listing of which product is better in what way, and compare that with what you have made, and then finally you decide what improvements you need to make in your project, and then do your final costing as to how much you want to sell this for at the minimum cost. One more thing that remains. Writing specifications. Writing specifications comes on the packaging, and also you have to prepare the manual, user manual and specifications. In the manual, if it is a user manual, you will tell the user how the device is to be used, how the project is to be used, and also give the specification. So if later on, if the user himself is able to replace something, or if the user himself is able to value that as an equipment, he or she will come to know how good your project is. It is always an essential thing for you as an engineer to make specifications technically. Some of the important specifications are the power requirements, then the kind of output your project gives, dimensions and cautions to be taken. That completes full development. And then when you write your report, when you are completing your report, you are going to conclude your report with a short account of conclusion. In conclusion, generally what writes is the kind of difficulties one came across in making the project. Also some of the precautions to be taken if similar project is made in future. And then you have to finally write the acknowledgement of your project report. What you finally write comes at the beginning. Okay. So soon after the title page of your project report, you are going to write acknowledgement. Of course, you will have your institute certificate first, and then you have acknowledgement. And in the acknowledgement, you will try to sincerely thank all those people and all those places which was helpful to you. I think this is more than sufficient of what I explained. Thank you all. It was nice talking to you. I conclude my talk here. Thank you and good day. Bye.